Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very, very special edition of Age of Quarantine, the St. Vitus Bar chat show. Um, we are currently, I don't have COVID. Don't worry about it. You can't get it through the phone anyway. Um, Today is a very special European episode. We're going to be talking to my old good friend Ingo Donots of the band The Donots. He is in Germany. Good for him too, because right now apparently the world, at least Washington D.C., is under attack by Trump people. So, or so I heard. Kind of been keeping track of it, but. I hope everybody's safe and missed us while we were away for the Christmas holiday and Hanukkah and whatnot. But yeah, and everybody's COVID free. I'm COVID free. Yeah, everybody COVID free. But yeah, on a more serious note, yeah, shit's going down in Washington D.C. right now, and I'm not saying to turn it off because there's nothing you can do about it. So you may as well just watch me talk to my old friend Ingo. Hopefully he's going to be on soon. The Donots are a very, very, very popular band in their home of Germany and a lot of Europe, and they also do really well in Japan. They've been a band for 20 years, and Ingo is quite possibly one of the nicest people I've ever met. He also speaks perfect English because he lived in America for a little while. And he actually speaks better English than I do. And there he is. And ladies and gentlemen, Ingo Donot. Here we go. Yes.
Fuck yeah, finally.
I know, right? Fuck, man. I thought you were fucking dodging me, dude.
No, never. Hey man, good to see ya.
Good to see you too. So I wanted to let everybody know who Ingo is. Again, I was given a little intro before, which was sort of interrupted by the shenanigans that are going on here in America right now.
Yes, so I heard. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy. But it's to be expected at this point. I mean, why not? You know?
Yeah, supposedly, yeah. But still, you know what? The news just popped in over here in Europe, and everyone's like, what the fuck? Is this true? Is this a hoax? What is it? I mean... That's crazy.
It's true. Yeah, it's just a matter of how they're controlling it. I don't know. Like they're not really showing it on TV, but it's pretty fucking crazy. Anyway,
yeah.
So Ingo is the singer of the Donots, a band that I've known for 20 years now. Yeah, 22 years. We toured together 22 years ago. And for anybody who might have seen the disastrous interview I did with Sam I Am, Jason was like, Jason forgot about it. And so like I saw Sergi was watching, so I just told Sergi to call me. So we just had Sergi on, and then Jason suddenly like realized that he had forgotten. And he was like building out a bathroom in his bar or something. I was just like, oh my God, this is so classic Sam I Am. So classic. It's fucking total shit show. But Ingo and I toured together in 1998 with when I was in Aerotype 11, and he was on his third record, right? That was Tonight's Karaoke Contest Winners.
Yeah, it was the second DIY record that we did, and we soon after we signed a deal. So yeah, that's when everything took off. Our band was only like, I don't know, like we've been only around for like 4 years back in the day. You know what? Back in the days, before we met, I had this shining in my eye. But when we met, everything died inside of me.
Yeah. Come on, what are you saying? I'm depressing? No.
No, not that much. But, you know, that's life. I mean, that's to be expected as well.
Well, I want to get into that tour because it was fucking a comedy of errors in every way. But I knew it was a big moment for you guys, for sure. And, you know, like, let's go back to the beginning. So you guys are from Ibbenbüren. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Ibbenbüren. Yeah. And you started in 93 or 94?
Exactly.
Okay, and
yeah, but it was a different lineup back in the first days, and we were just bored kids. We just wanted to, have some place to go. We couldn't even play our instruments. I mean, we can barely play them now, but back in the day it was worse. And like, I don't know, it was basically, we just looked for a place where we could, empty some cans together, and it sort of, became a business, and I don't know why. So yeah.
Well, you guys were good, and you really stuck. You stuck to it. I mean, like, in all honesty, like, you also you had Philip booking you guys at that time, and I thought Headshock did a really good job with your early records. Your first label. That guy was on tour with us, wasn't he? The dude who ran Headshock.
Yeah, Florian. Yeah.
Florian.
We're not with Florian anymore. We parted ways in 2012, but
okay.
I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, this band has been together for like 26 years now. Go figure. I mean, I can barely even get my head around that number. It's mind blowing.
And what's amazing about it is that, like, I've watched from afar. I've seen you a couple of times over the years on tour, but and when you played St. Vitus, which we can talk about later as well, which a lot of people don't know. Yeah, it was. I saw you guys like grow and get better. Like I remember when the video for Stop the Clocks came out, and I was like, fuck, like what happened to these guys? Like that was like these guys are like going big time, man. It was like a ballad. It was great. But
Thanks.
It was interesting to watch the way you guys kind of, took all the silly punk shit early on, did that, and then it was like, hey man, we can write real songs. Let's do it. And then you guys owned you had a studio as well, right?
Did you build your own studio? Our own studio. Yeah, we got one, and we rented that one in the first place. And over the years, we were like, you know what? Let's fucking try and make it our own studio. What with becoming even more independent, we're our own record label these days. We do our management all by ourselves, and I think that's a healthy and a very. It's just a great way to deal with the situation as is these days when it comes to releasing records and whatnot. So we got our own studio running, and like you said, it's been quite a journey for our band, like musically, and we had like several reboots or whatnot, and like several stages so we went through like different styles, and in the beginning it was basically. Well, we started out in 1993 or 1994, and of course that was the big days of that what everybody called the punk revival, when like Green Day all of a sudden went big time, and The Offspring and Rancid and all those bands. So we kind of got lucky with that trend going on, but it's sort of not like we followed those bands blindly. It was basically what you do when you're young kids. You sort of get inspired and whatnot. And throughout the years, we found out that it's even more punk to do whatever you want to do. Yeah, we didn't narrow ourselves down to a style anymore. And so by now, we are probably the most independent that our band could ever get, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another, like, and you guys were kind of ahead of the curve on all that. Like, when the music industry was changing so fast, in the aughts and whatever, like 2006 you guys started Solitary Man, and which is their record label, and it was interesting that you wanted to take control of everything at that point, because most bands were just too lazy to deal with it, and you guys had gotten enough popularity at that point. I mean, you put out a best of record, didn't you? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but that was basically to get out of a deal that we had. So we were assigned to a sub-label, a subdivision of BMG Sony, so which was a major deal. But we also licensed the record through Burning Heart Records in the rest of Europe and stuff. So we weren't happy with the deal with BMG Sony anymore, which is why we got lawyers involved, and it took us a mere 2 years to get out of the deal. And part of canceling and finishing that deal was hey, let's put out a best of record just to sign off and say, you take those songs, do whatever you want to do with them, we're done. And so yeah, that's when we when everything fell back into our hands, and we're like, you know what, why give our baby away to somebody else who doesn't really know what to do with it? Let's deal it and do ourselves. So we started the record label Solitary Man Records in Japan, funny enough, because the Donuts had gotten a lot of attention in Japan. We had like 2 or 3 #5 records in Japan, which is completely weird. Like we had Whitney Houston in the charts behind us, which is like, how's that even possible? You know? And so we've gotten a lot of attention in Japan, which is when our publishing lady, Motoko, a good friend of ours, she was like, hey, how about we start a record label, like sort of like an intercontinental record label. You sort of be the A&R because you know a lot of bands and reach out to them, and we release them officially in Japan. That's when Solitary Man, our record label, took off. And
well, yeah, it's well, I remember talking to you about putting out some of I don't remember which band it was, but
we did Boys That's Fire, we did the Dropkick Murphys, Placebo, all those bands, yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, Boys That's Fire is fucking huge in Germany.
Oh yeah.
They have their own fucking festival. I know, it's hilarious.
Yes.
Wow. Because I did a tour with them like maybe 5 years ago in America, and it was pretty cool. But it was like, you know, like they were like about to go to Germany, and it was like, whoa, like how many people are coming out to see you? Like what the fuck? It's like, well, they're like big stars.
They had like last show I went to was like 3,500 or something.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, this is like this one Family Values festival they're doing like in Cologne by themselves. But they're doing quite well for themselves. You know, you cannot complain. And Nathan, he's such a great guy. Like everybody in the band, they're super nice guys. So, you know, it's well deserved.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So I want to rewind to when I met you and our 3-week tour of Germany, which I guess was that a pretty early on touring experience for you guys?
It was basically the first full-fledged tour that we did. I mean, we did tiny tours of ourselves like here and there, but like it was the first, what was it, 3 weeks that we did together? Yeah. You know, and the first time we rode on a coach Nightline bus and all that shit. I mean,
well, let's talk about that.
I don't know how you recall it. I don't know if you reminisce, but as far as I can remember, the bus was shit. I mean, it was 18 people crammed into the shithole. It smelled of feet and farts and whatnot. And once you started the PlayStation, the bus would stop, like in the middle of the road. Like we had this one night when the bus broke down because somebody started the PlayStation.
Well, I mean, that tour was fucking crazy because I mean, I that was the first time I ever toured with Sam I Am too, and I've toured with them many times since. But they and we became very good friends. But those guys are fucking insane. And like, I mean, I think if I remember correctly, we met in Frankfurt, and I'm not sure you guys were even with us yet. And I think Jason drank 36 beers in 24 hours or something.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
Totally lost his voice for the whole tour. And subsequently, like, and then you guys were sleeping in the lounge. There was 5 of you all like in the lounge, and we all had the bunks and shit. I was like, that was so crazy, and it smelled so bad.
Well, we had bunks, but only like, you know, the ones that were in the back, like next to the lounge where everybody was partying. So basically, we were up all night, you know, whether we wanted or not, because you know somebody was drinking anyways until morning. Oh. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, those parties were like insane. That was my first bus tour as well, and you know, it was like one of those experiences where it was like, wait, so we just take all the rider, which in Germany is usually like fucking 6 crates of beer, and like, I mean, they give you so much fucking alcohol, there's no way you could possibly drink it, and then you just stay up all night till 7 o'clock in the morning in the lounge while you're driving, and just get completely blitzed. And it was like, I mean, it was fun, it was crazy, but I remember at one point I was just waking up. I would go to sleep like at 7 in the morning and not wake up until sound check. You know, it'd be like, oh, what's going on? Oh, sound check's going. Oh shit, I gotta go. Shit. I'm like,
yeah, that's pretty. That's, you know, that's what touring in Germany is like pretty much like every day. But like, you know, just when you mentioned that Jason was so shit faced, like, and he lost his voice, I was so amazed back in the days. I learned so much on that very tour because we were thrown into the fishbowl, like into the shark tank. Like, you know, we didn't have any experience whatsoever before. And all of a sudden it's 18 people getting crazily wasted like every night. And the singer of the headline band is completely fucked. Like his voice is fucked for like the whole stretch. And I'm like, how's he holding up? And he just cranked it out like every night. He was just brilliant. He was amazing. And I was making up my mind so much about not losing my voice and whatnot. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's so you were so young that you probably wouldn't have had any problem with your voice.
Probably not. I mean, nowadays I can feel my throat and my back like when I, you know, just get up in the morning and walk to the kitchen. But you know, that's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, my one memory of Jason on that tour was him doing this thing where he's like, if you stick your tongue out and sing in falsetto, and you actually get a note, that means you'll be okay. So you just sit there going. But every night he got up there and he fucking, you know, he's singing Factory. Like it did help that they were a pretty popular band and people knew the lyrics. But
well,
you know.
Obviously it did, but still he put on a great job, which you know, I can't get my head around that. It's just impossible, you know, given that he was fucked, like completely fucked.
Oh, dude,
but,
they played a show at Vitus around like Hurricane Sandy, which was this big hurricane that hit here, and he totally lost his voice. He got kicked out of a bar, broke the front door of the bar that they were hanging out at, who happened to be owned by my old bosses. So like I get a fucking text the next day like, yo, you know this guy? And I'm like, yeah.
Kinda.
It's like, that's pretty much how I expected the night to end up, but that's cool. Those guys are so funny that they, you know, like it's amazing to me that they could still go tour, and they seemingly never get less popular. You know, it's
weird. They have this crazy following in Germany. Whatever they do, you know, whenever they come over, I mean, Sergi obviously calls it a holiday, you know, when they come over nowadays. He's like, yeah, we're going on vacation to Germany, blah, 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 blah. And he's this very humble and modest guy. He's always like, you know, I mean, yeah, we're nobodies, you know, blah, 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 like that. That we had him open up for us on our 25th anniversary tour for a show. And, you know, it was unbelievable to me that they would open up for us because they're still like one of my favorite bands of all time, like easily. And well, Sergi, he was like, yeah, you know, thanks for having us. It's like, you know, it's yeah, you know what he's like.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. So that.
This brings me to another thing about you guys that really I really enjoyed, but it was kind of par for the course back then. But one of the things that was really endearing about you guys is what big fans you were of all these bands that we were sort of associated with. So like, I know Quicksand was a big, you know, a big thing for you guys.
Oh yeah.
And like it was like, I think it was Alex who like just couldn't wait to start asking me questions about Quicksand. And I was like, yeah, man, yeah, cool, yeah, they're great. But it was cool. Like the fandom was like so, like you guys were like so excited, and it really made that tour that much better to sort of see.
But you know what, Artie, you know what? It hasn't changed a bit. Like we extended that fandom up to this very day. I mean, I'm still huge fan of a lot of bands, and same is true for everybody in our band. And I'm still keeping fondest memories of your band, especially like Airtype 11. That tour, you just blew me away. Like every single night. Like the one to find you will never follow. That was, you know, that song's gonna stick with me forever.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope it's not too.
And I know, yeah, but you know what? It's something which I think is crucial when you're a long-running band. It's like you still need to be fans of other bands, and you still need to be psyched about, you know, going on stage. You want to hang out with good people and surround yourself with good people, and obviously just get blown away by your favorite band still. I don't want this to change at all. This just never gets old, and that's one of the great things about punk rock, to my mind.
Are you guys ever looking to do like you or the other guys in the band looking to like do side projects or play with different people ever? I know you're taking some time off now for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean everybody does, obviously, but what the Donuts have, we've just turned 25 last year. So what we did this year is obviously not playing any shows, but we put out a live record, the first live record that we ever did, which we had recorded in April of last year on the anniversary tour, which were the biggest venues that we played ourselves, headlining in Germany with opening acts such as Sam I Am and Anti-Flag and Itchy and all those bands. So those were like up to like 6,000 seaters, which is absolutely weird. So we recorded those shows and put them on a record. We've been writing new material. I mean, bits and pieces here and there, Corona allowing or not. I mean, you know, German authorities today they decided that the new rule should be narrowing the motion range down to 9 miles from your home for the next weeks, which is
how can they do that?
Us no choice. Yeah, but it just leaves us no choice but to stay away from the studio and not see each other. And last time we were in the studio, we Corona tested. Like everybody did a quick Corona test before that. So I mean, which is obviously necessary and a good thing to do. And obviously all those rules make sense, but it just feels so weird. It's the weirdest year ever, but everybody will say that, I suppose.
Oh, dude, I haven't been in my practice space in 9 months. Like, I just pay the rent. That's all. I just pay the rent. That's it.
Yeah, it's you know, you can only do that for so long, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, apart from that, I've been laying low, but I wasn't laying too low. So I started sort of like an all-star band in May of last year. And that's pretty big news because pretty much nobody knows about this yet. We a couple of old friends in other bands and other punk bands from Germany, we got together because we all have this huge liking and fandom for bands like Kid Dynamite, Lifetime, Dak Nasty and shit. So we send each other demos, like garage band demos mainly, and freaking added bits and pieces here and there. And me, I was crouching in my bathroom, like trying not to wake up my wife and my daughter while singing. And so we taped some demos and we recorded everything properly in August. And so this is big news because all of the people now watching this right now are the first to know. So the band is going to be called Duchamp, as in Teddy Duchamp from Stephen King's Stand By Me, obviously. Yeah. And so we recorded 13 songs. The other guys in the band are friends, Peter, Chris, and Benny from other bands in Germany too. And great thing is we got a bunch of really cool guest appearances involved. Like, spoiler alert, people from Kid Dynamite, Dak Nasty, people from Battery and Be Well, and the Descendants too. So
you got McTurnan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, Brian is singing on one of the tracks, and it's just mind blowing for us too, because you know it was just a fun project, but it turned into something really, really big, and we can't wait to put it out. It's going to be coming out sometime this year, probably spring or summer or something, through Antics Records and our own record label, Solitary Man, obviously, and I hope we're going to launch some music soon. So yeah.
Is there going to be physical copy available in America or yeah?
Well, we'll see about that. I mean, physical copies are definitely available over here in Europe. But good thing is that nowadays we've just found a new way to release everything like worldwide, like streaming wise for the Donots. So the same is going to be true for Duchamp too. So
cool.
Please check back regularly. I suppose we're going to start like an Instagram page and Facebook page and all that, you know, fancy shit that everybody has sometime soon. Yeah, but yeah, so the Donuts are finally available worldwide again, which is obviously a big deal too. And yeah, Duchamp is going to follow in the footsteps.
God, I remember going to see you guys. I think it was, you guys played in New York, and I think it was for CMJ. And
Yeah.
what would that? You played the fucking worst venue. Fuck, man. It was so bad.
It was
I was like,
the elbow room.
the elbow room. That's right. Oh my God.
That you know what, that joint became popular like a couple of years later because it was sort of a scene in How I Met Your Mother.
Right.
So the whole cast of How I Met Your Mother went to that club. So that's when it finally became a cool club. I mean, so we couldn't wreck it.
That was such a crazy show. That was so random. And speaking of which, also, so I booked you guys at Vitus. I mean, I don't know how many years ago it was now, like 5, 6?
It's probably six or 7 years ago, I suppose.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it must be 6 years ago.
It's a long ass time ago. Yeah, that was pretty funny too. Were you on tour with like Flogging Molly, or you were over? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was part of a different tour and you guys were just flying out, right? You were flying home from New York.
That was like we did this month-long stretch of the States. So our good friends in Flogging Molly, they offered us a support slot on the West Coast and Midwest for like, I don't know, like 8 or 10 shows or something. And we were like, you know what? Fuck it, let's do this. Even if we lose money, it's going to be fun. It's going to be huge places in the States and, something that you'll probably never forget. So we invested in work visa, which are super expensive. That's why probably not many bands from Europe come over to the States anyways, because it's fucking expensive to be on tour over there. And, what with the distances and logistics and all. So, so we had 8 to 10 shows booked, and I get in touch with Brett Rasmussen from Ignite. And he's like, hey, do you have a tour manager? I'm like, no, not yet. He's like, I'm in. I can do it. I was like, really? Cool. So when he took over a tour management business, that was when we were like, you know what, fuck it. Let's do a whole stretch, like a whole month of it. Let's fill in the blanks in between those shows, Flogging Molly, see who we can end up with and play shows with. And that's when we reached out to pretty much all the ghosts from the past, like say our friends in Anti-Flag and U2 and CJ from the Ramones and, all those people. So all of a sudden, those blanks, we could fill in those blanks. It was like 23 or 24 shows in a month. So we did West Coast, Midwest, back to Hollywood to play the anniversary shows for Anti-Flag and fly over after the Flogging Molly tour to do East Coast. And that's when, we got to sign Vitus again, which is cool.
Yeah. It's funny, like what was your takeaway from that experience? Like, that's really the only American touring you've done for real. Like,
yeah, we got a lot of attention on that tour, obviously, because Flogging Molly, they draw huge crowds. We did this festival on St. Patrick's Day where they were headlining, and it was like, I don't know, probably like 12 to 14,000 people in front of the stage, which is mind blowing. I mean, who gets to play that in the States as a no-name band from Germany? I mean, there's a couple of kids came flying in from I don't know, from Houston to see us and blah 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 blah, but for the most part we were no names. Nobody knew of us, and we still got a good following on that tour. And there's a lot of people that were asking us, hey, so you guys finally have a foot in the door, so when are you going to come back? And I was always like, you know what, we definitely want to come back, but we have to bide our time, and it has to be the right moment to do it. It has to make sense logistically. We have to have a record out and blah blah blah, because a foot in the door cannot be a foot in the neck. You know what I mean? Because if it's just, if you force it too much, it's not going to work out.
You're also going to lose you're going to lose a ton of money and waste your time, because it's like, I mean, you obviously know the mechanicals of the whole situation, and it's like, people always say that to us. When we get a lot of international bands at Vitus, and like they're playing what, a 250 cap room, right? Like, they're not possibly making money. There's no fucking way. And actually, what a lot of bands would do is they would sneak in. So it would be like, you show up with no instruments, like you just don't bring anything. and then you hook up with an American band who's willing to lend you all the stuff that you need. And that was really the only way that people could do it without losing so much money. And it's actually worse now. I think you have to pay more. And now like the UK is fucking with everybody too now. And like, I mean, I know you guys did a little bit in England, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, of course. Yeah. But that is probably, going to shit now anyway. Cause you know what, it is what it is. It's unaffordable for even like a mainland Europe band to go, after the Brexit, to go to England now. It's so weird. And the same thing is true for British bands going over to Europe. It's just fucking expensive. It's just so stupid. I mean,
it's such a shame. It's like how, especially in England, how they can't understand that the export of music is such a huge part of, like their cultural, contributions. It's like it's crazy how they would want to deter people from going in or coming out. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Because I always looked at England as being very arts positive, much more than America. And, sort of like the way Scandinavia is, or like many of the social democracies in Europe, where like they'll pay for you to come, they'll pay part of your bill or whatever to come tour, because they realize that they're exporting their culture via the music, which, like they're being represented right. It's a really interesting thing to watch. I think it'll change with England. I don't know if it'll change with America, but we can't predict anything right now. It's fucking like everything is just a crapshoot.
Yeah, it's everything is in flux. It's weird. Like you just don't know what's going to happen, but that's true of the whole world right now. But then again, it just, you just have to remain hopelessly hopeful that, at some point things are going to work out again. I mean, it might sound childish, it might sound naive, but me being the positive guy that I am, but still being a realist, it just, it has to continue to, in whatever way it's all going to fall into place at some point, to my mind.
I think so too. I mean, I'm an incredibly negative person, but things have gotten so bad that there's no, like, you can't dwell on the bad because it's just so fucking bad. It's like my dad has COVID now, and he's really sick. It's okay. I mean, I think he's gonna pull through, but it's like that's as close as this thing has gotten to me personally.
Right.
And it's just like, it's so hard to watch. Like, I have a friend whose dad went into a coma for like 8 months. He woke up, he's blind. Like, it's like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Like, so again, like I said, like things are just so bad that you can only look up. It's the only thing you can do. And it's hope for the best. I mean, I own 2 bars that, like, I'm struggling. St. Vitus isn't going to be open for a while. My other bar is open, but it's like, it's ridiculous. People are sitting in 27-degree weather trying to drink. It's like, it's fucking ridiculous. But back to you. One thing I want to talk to you about is a conversation that I believe I might have had with you back when we toured together. Because one thing I noticed about a lot of European bands, especially in the 90s, is that they were very much exactly emulating American bands. You know what I mean? Like where, to the point where, like, nobody sang in German. And I know singing in German is not easy. I think Rammstein kind of was the band that kind of broke through with all that. But that's a different story. They're getting away with it because they're pretty much like the cartoon bad guys from Indiana Jones movies. That's the trick they play. That's fucking brilliant, dude. Too. That's brilliant. But yeah, I mean, like, becoming comic book characters is a new metal thing, dude. Come on, you got to do it. So you started putting out German language records, like 2012 or so?
Yeah,
it was recent.
2014, I suppose. Yeah.
What was your thinking? Like, that you just, because I remember you actually telling me. I remember you telling me that someday you wanted to do that. You were like, we should probably do that. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, that would endear you to your home country so much.
Oh, yeah.
If you did that, you know, like people would be like so psyched, like, yay. And like, you know, obviously you have to counteract it with a big anti-Nazi flag behind you because, you know, everybody's going to be like, oh, they're singing in German now, you know, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But you obviously, you guys, I mean, give me the background behind like the decision making with all that. And
well, you have to bear in mind when it comes to speaking German and singing in German, that German language doesn't sound so nice. I mean, it sounds harsh, it sounds rough, and blah blah blah. At least to German ears, like, you know, it's not. I don't think it's the most beautiful and flowing language. I mean, there's a reason why everybody sings in English mainly, because it's just a language that flows. It just sounds so smooth and all. And German just sounds like, you know, like somebody pointing a gun at you, you know, like all the time. But also there's like so many more connotations to a German word. Like the German vocabulary is so deep, and there's like so many. It's like a minefield. It's like this one word could mean like so many things, and if you put them into the right context, they're just the most beautiful words. You know, German poetry can be so beautiful if it's done nicely. Like lyrics in German can be so beautiful, but most of the time they're just plain trite. They're annoying. They're shitty sounding. It's basically German. Like 96% of German lyrics, to my mind, are crap. Like complete bull crap. And that's why I don't even listen to German radio, because I just can't stand it. It's simple as that. I just can't. But obviously, if you want to make it big time in Germany, it definitely helps to sing in German, I suppose. I mean, there's a lot of German bands that, you know, prove the point, like say Die Toten Hosen, friends of ours, who are like the biggest rock band in Germany. Like they've been up there for like 30 years now. They're like the biggest band, and they took us out. Every time they take us out on tour, it's like you get to play to up to 60,000 people per night. Wow. And it's just incredible. And they're such super nice guys, and, you know, they treat you so well, and they're doing it so well. They've been the first rock band I've ever into, like first punk band I've seen when I was 12 or something. And they were one of the few bands who really knew how to, you know, use German language in a way that appealed to me and appealed to punks. Same thing is true for Die Ärzte, of course. And there's a couple of bands that get away with it, but most of them don't. And throughout the time, the Donots have been putting out records. Like every record company we were signed to, we're like, hey, why not sing in German? I mean, you guys could be big. And we're like, yeah, you know, and just because we were just because somebody asked, you know, us to do it, we were like, nah, fuck it. No, we're not. Just, you know, just for the sake of it. I don't know. It's stubborn. It's stupid, but it made sense back in the days. And once we weren't signed to a record company anymore, and we took over business ourselves, that was the first time that we decided, hey, you know what? We could easily do this. We could at least try. And so I sat down listening to old German punk records, listening to even like German Volksmusik, like the real bad folk music from Germany, to know what I don't want to sound like and sing about, and try to find my way and sneak my way through, you know, German vocabulary and then find my way. And so we were like, you know what, let's just test it for fuck's sake, for fuck's sake, and put out 1 7-inch just for the 20th or 15th anniversary of our band. Let's do that, and fucking, you know, if it's shit, then, you know, it's been a test, but, you know, leave it at that. If it's good, then fine. So we started writing material in German, and we were amazed how good it worked out for us and for our own ears. We're like, yeah, it's not even half bad. It's okay. It could be a lot worse. So we played it to a couple of people, and everybody was like, feedback that we got was like, hey, how come it took you guys 20 years to finally record the music that you always meant to record? And we're like, yeah, it's probably true. And so we got Tim McIlrath from Rise Against involved. for a first song. We're like, hey,
Oh
Tim.
yeah, he sang in German, right?
Yeah. Do you want to try, give it a shot in German? And he's like, fuck yeah, I'm in, which was cool. And so I'm like, I'm translating the lyrics into English so he gets the gist of what we're singing. I'm phonetically translating the German gibberish so he could sort of like imitate what was going on, because obviously German is just tough to sing. It's just tough. And so I get a text from him. I'm on the motorway in Germany on the Autobahn, and I get a text from him. He's like, "Hey, I'm in the studio with Bill Stevenson right now. Can you sort of guide me, like put on Skype and guide me through the song?" And I'm like, "Yeah, shit, I'm stuck in a traffic jam. I should be home in like 90 minutes. I'll give you a call then, and then I'm gonna guide you through." So I get home, and he's done. He's like, "Yeah, I'm done. I got it." So he sent over those tracks, and he did an amazing job. He was brilliant. Like, a lot of German people would love to speak German like he did.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, if you had asked me to do it, I would have just said Geschmacken a bunch of times. And
That's probably the word of the tour, right? Geschmacken.
It was the word. It was the word of the tour. Geschmacken, 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 Geschmacken. Like, fucking ridiculous. Yeah.
So good. So good.
Yeah, just destroying the German language one town at a time. But that's awesome. I thought, like, when I saw you guys do it, I was like, okay, cool. I'm glad you finally bit the bullet. Is it a thing in Germany where like most of the songs that chart, like say like pop stuff, is that mostly sung in German?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, obviously the big shots are the big shots. If say, I don't know, Lady Gaga or Beyonce is putting out an album, of course that's going to be big time in Germany too. But for the rest, it's mainly Rammstein, Die Toten Hosen, and a lot of bullcrap that I don't even want to think about at night.
What about German hip hop? Isn't that big?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, obviously hip hop is the big thing everywhere in the world. I mean, let's face it, Artie, we're sort of becoming dinosaurs. I mean, rock isn't. I mean, rock festivals are still there, but it's not as popular as it used to be. But that's fine. I mean, that's probably anti-cyclic. I mean, there's probably, it's probably going to change. It's we're probably, this plane is going to crash sometime soon, but there's going to be another plane taking off and, taking rock back to where it was. But you never know.
Well, I think it's interesting with the pandemic and all the limitations of what we're able to do. The way that people write music has been changing over the years, but the more you're able to do by yourself has become like a huge part of making music now. And it's like, it's in a lot of ways like being a DJ or making hip hop. A lot of that stuff is very solitary music. You're just doing it, by yourself. And, whereas being in a band is like, it's expensive. You got to get together. It's like, it's just such a pain in the ass. You play a show, you got to get all this fucking gear. Like, oh my God. Like, believe me, it's like, if there's one thing I don't miss at all, it's like I always said, like, if they could just like make a transporter, like in Star Trek, where I could just like show up and I'm like, oh, I'm at the show. Cool. I'm going to play. And I just like transport home. Like, okay, cool. I'm home now. Good. Like I can't. Yeah, it was the last tour I did actually was in the States with a band called Cult Leader, and and we before that Primitive Weapons we toured with Quicksand, we toured with fucking Dillinger Escape Plan, we were doing all this really big shit, and the Cult Leader tour was a lot smaller, and we drove 8 hours to play in Lexington, Kentucky, to 25 people in like a fucking, it was basically like a living room. I was like, I'm 47 years old. Like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like,
oh, come on. You haven't aged a bit. I was just trying to, I was just, on the verge of asking you what they're putting in the water. Like, there's got to be something in the Brooklyn tap water because you haven't aged a bit. Come on.
Beer and whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah.
A steady diet. Yeah, man. Fucking. It's crazy, but yeah, like having those sorts of experiences. That's why I asked you about that American tour you did, and like even like when you played Vitus, like I know how many people showed up, and you guys were like the smiles on your faces. You couldn't beat them off, you were just like, we're so happy we played in New York. This is so great. You know, and I was like, in my head, I'm going like, you guys play to like thousands of people in Europe. Like, God, this must be such a mind fuck. But, you know, it's that, I think that attitude has gotten you very far in life, Ingo. It's
probably true, but it's something that it just flows naturally. That's not something we have to force ourselves into thinking. It's not something that we need to sit down and talk about. You know, hey, you know what? Tonight it's not going to be a 20,000 capacity in Japan. Damn. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I'm up for that. You know, if you're not up for playing to like 2 people, like then fucking, you know, just don't. Seriously, don't.
No, I hear you. I mean, I'll say having a family is that kind of changes the attitude a little bit, for sure.
A bit, yeah.
You know, especially when playing music is not your living. You know, you have to really sort of balance a lot of that. And I would say there's a lot of people, especially at Vitus, because it's mostly underground shit. Like hardly anybody that plays there is it their living. You know, so like I always try and keep that in perspective when I was dealing with bands. It's like, you know, it's the same thing as if I show up to a show, you know, halfway across the country, you know, like you don't want to be treated like shit. You know, you want to like you basically treat, whether it's Megadeth or fucking, you know, some small local band, you pretty much want to treat them the same, because it's like, you just want to make it comfortable, because that's what gets repeat business. And that's what, you know, like, that's the scene we grew up in though, you know, it's like, and in all honesty, a lot of that comes from touring in Europe, because all my early tours were in the early 90s were in Europe, and you just got treated so well. You know, it was like, it was crazy to, you know, for us coming from America, like show up, I'm like, wait, how much you're going to feed us and we get a place to stay and the government's paying our bill for the Jugendzentrums? All right, I'll take it. But like, it's I'm not sure it works like that anymore. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But
it does to a certain extent. It's not as much a paradise anymore, but it's still pretty solid. Let's just don't complain. Seriously. I mean, but you know what? Good thing about it is that you made that experience, and because when we played the States, St. Vitus was such a great place to play, because we just, I mean, it's not only because we were friends, and I'm not just going to say that say this now because we're hanging out right now. Like, you know, with a step back and a perspective from you know, outside, and me being a promoter of shows in Germany in the early 90s as well, there's like so many shithole places that don't give a fuck about bands and the way, you know, and they're not very welcoming and all. And St. Vitus was just so cool to us. You know, you guys were so nice. It's such a great club. It's got, you know, it's got everything you need from a good club. So, I mean, that's probably really thanks to you touring with Mind Over Matter and you know, Airtype 11 and all those bands over here, and I mean, also knowing the other side of the table, you know.
Yeah, no, it was like when we first started it, that was really the intention. You know, like I was still touring a lot with Gay for Johnny Depp at that point. It was mostly in the UK, and the UK can be hit or miss with hospitality for sure. Mm-hmm. But I'm such a crazy Anglophile that, you know, it doesn't really matter to me. But I just, you know, what I would do, like say like we played in Hamburg. I remember the last time I played in Hamburg, and I was like, you know, oh, let's go to you know, these kids would be like, everybody, once they find out you're into metal, they're like, let's go to the metal club. Okay, cool. So you go to the metal club, and you just like, you take notes wherever you go, you know, whether it be the Crowbar in London or, you know, wherever place in Hamburg I was in, or like any of these places, you just take notes and you realize that like, this is what's cool. And the Europeans do metal way fucking better than Americans. And, you know, it's a bigger thing, you know, and of course, like we incorporate, you know, we're not just a metal club. We do punk and hardcore and, you know, new wave and post-punk, and, you know, like Killing Joke played last year, which was like mind fucking blowing.
So cool.
What an incredible band. Like, I mean, like, and they're like, it was the original lineup. They're fucking old.
So good.
They blew the doors away. Dude, I had to spend an hour with Jazz Coleman in his hotel room. Oh my God. He made me put my phone in the bathroom and turn it off. And then he just like started rapping to me about all this like crazy shit. And he invited me on like a ayahuasca tour in fucking Peru. I'm like, I
get
can't
the fuck
go.
out of here.
I swear to God, dude. He's like, yeah,
It's so
these
cool.
tours. I'm like, oh my God, like what the fuck? He was, oh man, I could write a book about that conversation. It was so fucking crazy.
So cool. But I mean,
but awesome because
I was just going to ask you about this Nirvana show that you put on. That sort of that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame introduction.
Hall of Fame, yeah.
That is the craziest shit. When I read about that, I was like, holy shit, that's Artie's Club. Are you fucking kidding me? That is so fucking cool.
Yeah, that was a really good example. That story it's a long story, but that was a really good example of being good to people, no matter who they are. Because the guy who made that happen played in another band that played at the bar and played a couple times, and he was really, really sweet. Just happens to be that he's the head of Dave Grohl's production company. And and it like and by the way, that whole show was filmed. So they have like they did a 5-camera shoot, and it was all edited. And it's like, I've heard everything from like HBO's wanted money for it. Like there's all like
you think it's going to come out at some point?
I bet you it will. I mean, they were really drunk, especially Chris Novoselic. Like he could barely play. So there was a lot of fuck ups, but you know, like, I mean, and it was they started at 2 a.m. and they finished at 4. So they played a full 2 hours. So it was like, I do think it will see the light of day, but it'd probably be some like anniversary special edition, Nevermind, you know, like all that stuff.
Right.
But it was, you know, that whole day was really surreal. The whole week was really surreal, and keeping that quiet was really difficult. And the reason we did is because we had the Descendants play,
nice,
with Hot Water Music the year before, and that turned into a shit show because it was Riot Fest here in America, and it got washed out. And I got a call from Jason Black from Hot Water Music, and he's like, yo, actually I texted him. I was like, you guys want to play? He's like, yeah. And then he's like, he calls me and he's like, hey, and he's talking to Bill Stevenson. He's like, hey, do you want the Descendants to play too? And I'm like, yeah, of course I do.
That is like, so cool. That is so
Riot
cool.
Fest, but dude, this is so crazy. So Riot Fest fucking tweets that the show has moved. So they tweeted that out to 5,000 people that were at the show. So people are just running down the block. They have no idea what our place is or how big it is. Within 5 minutes, there was 400 people in the building and a line that stretched all the way. There's like at least 2,000 people showed up. I kid you not.
And it was crazy.
They couldn't get the gear on stage. It was fucking Looney Tunes. And, you know, so like with the Nirvana thing, I was like, if this leaks at all, we're going to have like a zillion people, you know, show up, and it's going to be a fuck, because especially since it's so late. So it was like, you know, we kept that it was a very tightly kept secret, but we didn't even tell our staff. It was fucking, we didn't even tell our business partners, and they were so pissed at us because we didn't. But yeah, that was crazy. And then but you know, they got off stage at 4. It was international news by 7:30 in the morning. When I was sitting in the cab on the way home, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I saw a Google alert, and I'm like, holy shit! Like this story has been reposted 2,000 times already. Like what the fuck?
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was a wild experience. But again, like that, to me, that's a perfect example of like, treat everybody kind, be cool no matter who they are, because you never fucking know. And even if nothing ever comes back, at least you did the right thing. You know, pay the bands properly. Don't be an asshole. You know, like you have to sacrifice quite a bit, especially in New York, because of the overhead that you deal with here. But you know, it's like at the end of the day, it all comes around. You know, and that's you know, and I think that goes for you as well. I mean, it's funny. Like over the years, like you had Frank Turner sing on a song, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Bros with Frank, and it's like I'm Bros with Frank too. Like we've had ever since we met, we've had so many sort of weird, like 1 degree of separation type situations, you know, and I was like, I'd always be like, that's awesome. I'm so psyched that Ingo and Frank are fucking friends. That's so awesome. You know,
but same is true, like in your direction as well, you know. But that's the great thing about it, is that network of friends kind of thing that you know, everybody's talking about it's not even romanticizing punk and hardcore. It is what it is. Like, everybody knows everybody, and like the good people will always pop up again, and you know, other places, and you're like, really? You know him? You guys are friends? Wait,
totally.
If you're friends, then we are friends, and that's great.
Yeah, and that's a lot of scene stuff too, which, you know, like when I think back to the early '90s and whatnot, and pre-internet, and how we were able to just, like, because of the hardcore scene, because it was so like international, before the internet, we could just fly over to Europe and play, and there'd be kids there.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I mean, it was a little bit like, oh, New York hardcore, you know, but like, it was still, it still blows my mind that, you know, I could go to Japan and somebody knows my fucking band from 1994. Like, that just completely blows my mind. And it's like, and the same goes for what you guys do, you know. It's like, it truly is like an international language that has brought a lot of opportunity. And, you know, there's nothing better than traveling, man, especially when you're young, because you need the experience. And those tours of Europe were so eye-opening to me, because I had never been in a social democracy before. You know, I'd never been in a place where everybody had health care and everybody was, you know, like, you could be on unemployment for 3 years, and, you know, they gave you money to be in a band. It was like, this shit was like, so it was like,
yeah,
you know,
of course. It's
cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a great thing, and I would love for everybody to experience that as much as possible. So I cannot encourage anybody anymore, like, to say, yeah, start your own band, just do your own thing, blah blah blah, and go travel, see the world, and meet great people. Speaking of which, any news about what's going down in Washington right now? Can you?
No, I can't.
TV.
I can't. Hey, Conrad, is the government overthrown yet? He just left. Yeah, I can't get out while we're on Instagram Live. I can't get any updates. So who knows? The Capitol might be burning right now, for all I know. Somebody write in the comment section what's going on. So I got to wrap it up. But I want to go back over some of the stuff you need to promote, even though wasn't the purpose of this. But so you had the Birthday Slams live album that just came out, right? Celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Donots.
Yeah. And
the pictures from that show look fucking awesome. Is there a DVD or any sort of live stuff? Or
that one was really intentionally just an audio recording, like the first live record that we wanted to make. I mean, we have a DVD out from our 1000th show that we played, which is like some 5 years old now or something. But that's like the big hometown show that we're doing, like, annually, like, I don't know, like traditionally. Obviously not this year, but that's the typical 6,500 seater capacity that we're playing and lucky to play. So that's just mind blowing to see it. Supposedly it's up on YouTube as well. If you Google or like put YouTube search, if you type in Donots 1000, that's probably going to show up, that show.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Awesome, man. And so Duchamp is the next thing that's coming out for you, and not quite sure when. The album's going to be called Slingshot Anthems, and so probably looking into a release, like, say, early summer, late spring or something. Let's see. So yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Well, it was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thanks
Say
for
hi
having
to the boys
me.
for me. And
I will.
You know, I love you, dude. Stay safe.
Love you too, my friend. Yeah,
Take care.
too. And yeah, we'll mail.
Definitely.
All right,
brother.
Have a good one.